How fierce are the fighting nations? They have an artifact. It is definitely the ultimate killer that scares the world. Then the fighting nation has really made the world. The ability to destroy, this issue tells you about. The ultimate trump card for a fighting nation, hanging over the world's heads, is Damocles. And deterrence of the highest form of magnetic hand system. This hand system and the hand of death system. It's a product of the madness of the Cold War. Mao Zedong was used to establish one of the ultimate means of Huey society. The role is to make the country vulnerable to a severe nuclear attack. In the case of total leadership destruction, it can also launch a devastating nuclear counterattack against the enemy. In those crazy days, the two most powerful nations that have ever lived on Earth. Through the iron and wood, take Haida as a pistol, played a thrilling cowboy duel. All of humanity's lives are hanging by a thread. After decades of confrontation, neither cowboy fired that shot. But one of the cowboys ended up falling. The outcome of this showdown has been decided, but no shots were fired. A new showdown is coming. Newborn furry bear announced. Red fired new nuclear-powered cruise missile. Building a new nuclear submarine. And Death Hand acquisition has been restarted. Under the shadow of terror. Will the world move towards peace? Late World War II. The United States dropped 2 atomic bombs. It hastened the end of the war. It revitalized the world. The immense power of the atomic bomb. It has caused great shock to countries around the world. Therefore, countries are beginning to conduct their own nuclear tests. Only 1 year after the end of World War II, Churchill gave his famous Ironwood speech. Another year of the Truman Doctrine in the United States. The heat of the war has not subsided. The Cold War resurfaced. The two superpowers are competing for world hegemony, the most intense competition in human history. They divided the world into 2 camps. Go crazy, tech competition, arms race, the space race, and the diplomatic race. But even with this fierce confrontation, in the worst of times, it's just a local proxy war. The United States and the Soviet Union have never fought head-to-head. Both sides have been careful. Controlling the scale of the conflict. The reason is that both parties, the deterrence of nuclear weapons in your hands, the concept of deterrence is not new. Our country did not fight in ancient times. The idea of subduing the army. This is the practical application of military deterrence. Modern Americans. Wilshire gave a specific definition. Deterrence is to make the other side afraid. Unbearable consequences and retaliation. The state of being afraid to take some action. The outbreak of the First World War. It is because of the imbalance of deterrence between the two sides. Both sides believe that under their own threat, the other party will give in. So escalating actions again and again. This eventually led to war. In World War II, it was the opposite. In the face of Germany's Wetcher Act, Britain and France capitulated again and again, let go again and again. Germany's smooth breach of contract, default to send troops to the west side of the Blue Smoke River, until the Blitz waves. But nuclear weapons emerged, greatly changed the deterrence between nations. Not easy situation. Large numbers of nuclear weapons on both sides. It can destroy all the major cities of the enemy country, near annihilation. In particular, it can cause inconvenience to the national leadership. A royal strike let countries really feel the nuclear deterrence. Just as the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union was heating up, the emergence of a theory instantly made everyone feel terrified. Seth and Winter theory. Scientists have proposed massive clouds of radiation from a massive nuclear war will cause the temperature to plummet. Increased environmental radiation. The Earth's ecological environment will be destroyed. There is no suspense in this theory. Enhance the effect of nuclear power society. Let both sides exercise more restraint in behavior that could lead to conflict. It also allows both sides to work harder to develop nuclear strike capabilities. Create deterrence to prevent being hit. So you get a vicious cycle. Both sides of the Cold War were nervous, equipped with opposing missiles, while furiously perfecting his own missile system. And they also take the initiative to show each other the situation of its own missile system, because only by letting the other party know their own strength to be a threat. And not only that, to threaten each other, the furry bear also came up with a dead guard system, nuclear counterattack. Tell America that even if you strike first, I can also pull your back. The holdout system is so powerful. And how does that work? In the He-Wish game at that time, both parties are identified. The most serious consequences that the other party cannot bear is total destruction. So the strategic thinking on both sides is very simple. Only one word to ensure mutual destruction. This sentence implies that, in addition to the requirements to carry out against the enemy, beyond the capability of a large-scale, long-range nuclear strike, it also requires this ability to play at any time. Even if the opponent strikes first, even if we are destroyed. Therefore, both parties, in terms of nuclear counterattack capability after the first round of strikes, great effort. Tens of thousands of nuclear bombs built by both sides. And so that even after a nuclear attack, there are enough nuclear bombs left to counterattack. Simultaneous means of nuclear counterattack. It is also the key to the research of both parties. And the first thing that comes to mind is submarines. Submarines carrying nuclear bombs. It is highly concealed after leaving the port, can quietly sneak into the waters near the enemy's homeland. Once news of a nuclear attack on the homeland is received, strike back. But there are limits to this approach. The first problem is that submarines are expensive and complex. The quantity will not be too much. Submarines can carry a limited number of nuclear bombs. It can only strike key cities, not enough to completely destroy the opponent. The second problem is that submarines have limited endurance, even the most advanced nuclear submarines. It also requires frequent ascending, return to the home port for maintenance, etc., easily tracked by enemy surveillance. Especially in the late Cold War, the United States has built a large number of underwater sonar arrays. The submarine's stealth capabilities are no longer reliable. The most serious problem is the communication problem. Heavy seawater on the head of a submarine in a lurking state. It's a signal jammer. Orders to counterattack may not be received in a timely manner. It's not reliable. And vehicle-mounted missiles. Bombers take turns competing for duty and other means. How much is it similar to a submarine? Only long-range ballistic missiles stored in nuclear rocks is the most reliable means of counterattack. The biggest requirement of the holdout system is reliability. This type of missile, usually stored deep underground and undercover, placed in silo. When ordered, will open the thick manhole cover of the silo, launch a missile. Personnel responsible for operating and maintaining missiles, also living underground for a long time. In order to preserve strength in a nuclear explosion and launch a counterattack, missile silo, usually established in remote locations across the country, extremely scattered and hidden. It is almost impossible to detect and destroy them all. At the same time, construction and maintenance costs are relatively low. So, both sides of the Cold War built a large number of silos and stick to the system. It is based on these missile silos that this is the strongest trump card of the fighting nation, the hand of death system that can be called Django's artifact. This system is used in desperate situations, a means of pulling an opponent into the water. The system has been kept confidential, not known to the public, until the end of the Cold War. The message is gradually decrypted. Some have participated in the dead guard system. Construction engineer to reveal this mysterious system. It is said that it was built in the 1970s. The United States launched Star Wars. Plan. A space-based missile will be built. Defense system. This sentence greatly stimulated the old furry bear opposite the ironwood. They think the balance of power is being upset. The United States may launch a nuclear strike first. In the difficult logic of the Cold War, when you think the other party is about to attack, you have two options: strike first, or make the other person believe that even if you die, can still fight back. In Mao Zedong's opinion, intercept thousands of missiles from the bottom of the sea, the sky, and the missiles that launched the alarm bell. It's not going to happen. But after the first blow, there must be a huge number of silos. Keep it. The question is how to make them work. It is conceivable that, in the first round of strikes, the top brass of the state and the military as a priority target. Most likely it has been comprehensive. Communication facilities can also be damaged in nuclear insurance. Silos in remote areas may not receive any counterattack orders. And the hand of death. That's the context in which it works. Usually he is in a semi-dormant state. Once he passes through a network of sensors across the country, earthquake detected, abnormal data such as radiation air pressure, judged as a nuclear attack. The computer deep underground will start the program. Prepare to counterattack. The first step in the process is to check the status of the high-level state and contact the general staff. If there is no response, the system will default to high-level comprehensive. Then the permission will be open to the ground protection staff. It's up to him to launch a counterattack. The survival of the world is in his mind. Once the counterattack order is issued, the second step is to recover and other silo connections. The dead guard system will emit a lot of high power. Signal missile with signal transmitter. After liftoff, all surviving units will be signaled. Command counterattack. The last step is to survive all the nukes. Receive the command from the signal missile. Out of launch path, flying over the scorched earth. The same death. To bring equality to all people in the world. In fact, late in the Cold War, the United States has also established a similar system. They put a chain of command on the plane. Take turns flying on duty in the sky. Anytime America is attacked, Heavenly Chain of Command can issue a counterattack order. Fortunately, same as the magnetic axis system, the day the air command post was also not opened. The Cold War ended more than 30 years ago. The world is in turmoil again. Talk of a new Cold War is gaining popularity. The talk of restarting the holdout system has already appeared. Nuclear bombs bring destruction. Humans are also under nuclear deterrence. After decades of peace, hope these doomsday weapons never have the day to start. May the world be at peace.